but now we're going to move on to David Hopwood. He's discussing effective leadership and management of an NPO. Effective leadership and management. So David is coming to the stage. He's the HR and Support Service Director of Save the Children, South Africa. Quite a large NPO. He's been involved with quite a number of other NPOs during his work experience, and also had a stint with for-profit entities. I see it's Anglo-American, Royal Swazi Sugar, and a number of others. He has a BSc from UKZN and a BCom Honours. We'll forgive him for that. He's married to Liz, and Liz is also involved, I see, in the NGO sector.
It's a family business.
Oh, wonderful. So I'm going to hand over to David.
You know what it means when a speaker puts a timer on the desk in front of him or her? Nothing. Okay, let me introduce myself, as Nick has just elaborate a little bit on what Nick has kindly done, and I'll try and do that. My name's Dave Hopwood. I've spent about 10 years in the non-profit sector, and prior to that, to my shame, I did do a lot of work in the sort of corporate sector, of which about half was the extractive industries, for which I beg your forgiveness. I worked for two large INGOs, and I just want to give you a little bit of context about that, because I come from a particular space in our world. Yes, I worked for a number of corporate organizations, and then began to work in the non-profit sector. And I worked for an NGO, an INGO that you may not have heard of, Plan International, for about 4 years. I was the regional human resources partner for Plan International, and we were based just down the road, actually, in Sandton. And then subsequent to that, joined Save the Children. We were Save the Children UK, South Africa program for a number of years, and then just over a year ago, we changed to, we broke away, as it were, from the UK, and we became Save the Children South Africa. And that has presented us, as perhaps you can imagine, with a whole range of challenges and difficulties and opportunities to grasp or overcome. And most of what I'd like to share with you comes out of that particular experience in terms of that changeover. When I moved from the for-profit sector into the non-profit sector, there were quite a number of contrasts that I encountered. And my view on the management and leadership of non-profits in part stems from those contrasts that I found, and how we are able to find a balance between those. But I hope you'll agree that our economic space has and will become increasingly competitive, not least for the donor rand, but as Mampane has said, almost for attention. It's quite difficult, perhaps you'll agree, to get some, as it were, airtime in the multiplicity of stimuli and the multiplicity of demands on people's time and on their pocket. So there's a whole range of demands that we all, in a sense, compete for. But I think it's important for me to outline right at the start that my view, and I hope yours as well, is that this pot, this bucket of funds, of people, of time, of attention, is not a finite pot. That perhaps one of our greatest challenges is to expand that pot of whatever resource that it is. So I don't see us having a sort of a cat fight and scrabbling for a limited amount of resource. I would like to think that we have the wherewithal to expand that pot. So what's the response to this increasing competitiveness that I think exists? I would suggest that it's important, it's imperative for all of us to consider how we can